Bearded Bristol here, and I am just a guy who likes to talk and paint. Since the last piece, I have embarked on something different here. The moon, about 3 weeks ago, settled in right between the branches of a tree across the street, and it really framed up nicely. It's a very simple painting, but after doing such an intense piece, or a couple of pretty intense pieces, I wanted to slow things down and just knock one out for me. Just, kind of a palette cleanser, if you will. So that's what we've got today. I'm going to be building in some of the branches here. I've mixed up some color already, added a little bit of black, brown, orange, and white together so that I can paint the framework for the branches in here. And you might notice this is a little different from what I normally, what my normal style would be. And that is fully intentional. Like I said, this is kind of a palette cleanser, and it's for me. I'm doing this for me. I don't have high expectations for the overall outcome of this piece, and that's okay. Not everything has to be a masterpiece. Not everything has to be to perfection. And sometimes it's just important to do things for yourself. Part of the purpose of this is to explore a little bit of a different style. Obviously, there's more than one way to paint a watercolor, and some of you out there may not particularly like the super realism that I normally embrace, and that's okay. I too sometimes get a little bored doing simply the same style all the time. So doing something like this gives me a chance to stretch out my skill set and just kind of see ultimately, what is there another style out there that would fit me, or that would allow me to learn some new things, some new skills with the brush. So that's really what this piece is. But it's also just a good exercise for everybody to, try something new, learn more about yourself and what you like and what you don't like. And, like I say, this is normally I'm a much more strict realist painter. But sometimes I get bogged down with pieces that take 40 or 50 hours. And while I enjoy those pieces, I would also like to maybe be able to paint a little faster, learn some new blending techniques, things like that. And you can't learn those things unless you intentionally seek out to do so. That goes for any hobby that you might be interested in trying out. And hobbies, are great tools for learning, about yourself, about your likes and dislikes. There's a lot of people out there that think that they're going to like golf, and they find out very quickly that they don't. And nothing wrong with that. Golf is not for everybody, but you have to try it in order to know that. Chess, checkers, whatever, knitting, all of these games and hobbies are great ways to learn about yourself and how to be a better version of you. And, it's also super important. Golly, it's warm up here today. I'm a sweating. It's also important to do things for yourself. It's great to want to be selfless and to help people and this, that, and the other. But you have to be able to do things for yourself to find some peace at times. I think I always like to bring up the evils of social media, and I think lots of people out there in the social media sphere, but just in their personal worlds, don't take time to do a lot of things for themselves or because they want to. So often we're trying to be someone we're not. We're trying to live up to something that we cannot be, or that is not truly who we are. And we're trying to fit a stereotype or a mold, and so we stray from doing things for ourselves, whether it's things that help us learn, things that help us relax, things that help us engage socially or whatever, because that doesn't fit my mold, that doesn't fit who I am. I'm an introvert, so I can't do that. Baloney. I'm an introvert, but I know how to extrovert. I know how to break out of my box and how to be, that extroverted person. But I have to want to do it for me. I can't just do it because someone else wants me to do it, or because I feel that somebody else has that expectation of me. You have to be true to yourself, and you have to be able to do things because you want to do them. That's how you excel in life. You find those things that you enjoy and you get better at them. And like this here painting thing is actually working out pretty well for me thus far into the tree building experience. And again, not how I would normally do things. I would normally painstakingly grind out each branch instead of doing something a little more free-flowing. And I do have my picture up here, so I've got a template on what I'm doing. But, just in terms of sheer speed on this piece, it's really working out well for me. So I'm learning something already about myself in terms of I can, speed up the process in certain areas anyway, and develop a different kind of style for myself. And so, this part of the experiment is a success for me, and not a mistake. Which is something else to bear in mind. It's okay to make mistakes. Just made one right there. How about that? I think, again, the social media world that we see out there does not actually exist, not in any true substantive way. Because what you see on social media is generally a trial and error. Very few things that you see there are a first time out attempt. One of my favorites is the trick shots with basketballs that you see, or ping pong balls, or pick your sports ball. Generally speaking, those are not first attempt things. They may try a particular trick for weeks, for hours and hours on end, before they get it to work and capture it, on camera with the reaction and all of the dancing and screaming, which, for what it's worth, I would dance and scream too if I tried a shot 250 times and the 251st finally went in. Thank goodness that's over. But I think we get caught up in the speed and the immediacy of social media and assume that those people are, excellent at their craft, or, perfection embodied when it comes to the things that they're showing. But they don't show you, all of the mistakes made that led up to that point. So I think we then put that pressure on ourselves that we have to live up to some perfect standard that doesn't actually exist. And I'm taking kind of a long and winding road here, but it all goes back to the same thing which is, first of all, trying new things is healthy. It's good for you. It's a great way to learn where you're at and where your boundaries are. And it's just healthy to be able to do things for yourself and not always be pressured to do things for someone else or the way someone else wants you or expects you to do those things. I'm going to shift gears here just a little bit, and I'm going to add a little more white, and we're going to kind of, and actually I'm a smart guy, so I'm going to change to a slightly smaller brush here. And we are going to paint in the same color, but I'm going to go over the top of what I've already done to add some roundness to these branches. And again, the goal is not perfection, and the goal is not necessarily even speed, although the process, is moving along much faster. The goal is to learn. The goal is to stretch my boundaries and to see if I can learn a new style or, master something different that I have not tried before. And my art professor would be very proud of me at this point for recognizing that I can still learn. I was extraordinarily stubborn in college and felt that I didn't necessarily need to learn new things. But over time, you grow, you mature, and here we are, trying new things right before your very eyes, and building some self-confidence as I'm doing it, which is, also something that should not be lost in all of this is, we all need some additional self-confidence. Nobody wants to be cocky and or arrogant. Well, maybe some people do, I don't know. Not this guy, that is not my goal. But, we all need to build and work on our self-confidence and be more comfortable in our environments. And that's kind of what this is right now. I am feeling much better about how, what I can do with my skills and the fact that I can learn and branch and do things, new things and different things. And, when I am all done with this, hopefully when I get to take on the next piece, I will have built some self-confidence that I can add in some tricks and some things that I'd never done before, as I begin to work on something different. Speaking of, so the next piece that I will be doing is for another upcoming juried show, and it is going to be the subject of that show is solitude. So I'm going to be doing probably some themed discussions on solitude and whatnot, and how it's okay to be alone. You don't always have to be with someone else. It's okay to let your thoughts invade your head for a change and not push them to the back as we often do. Because we have constant distractions from social media, from television, from, all of those things. So, but that's a different topic for a different day. Hopefully you can see kind of the simplicity of the depth that's building in here and the fun that I'm having in terms of trying something new and kind of pulling it off. So what are the things in your life that you would like to try that you have never considered, I shouldn't say never considered, but never attempted because you are afraid or you don't have time or it would be out of character for you? Think about what those things are. What are the true barriers that are holding you back from doing them. Generally speaking, it's almost always fear, but sometimes, depending on the hobby, maybe it's financial. Maybe you just can't afford to take on the particular thing that you've been itching to try. Hopefully that's not the case though. If it is simply fear, you just simply have to start. You have to begin on that new thing. Fear, in a sense, is what has held me back from developing, from trying something like this particular piece, because I value my time very much. And one of the most frustrating things to me is when I try something and it doesn't work out. Oftentimes that feels like wasted time. And, that's not the case. It's not wasted time because I learned something from the mistake, I learned something from the process, and hopefully I learned something about myself. And, so that when I try doing, something again, I will avoid the pitfall that caused the last great mistake. I will work around it. I will know how to accept and handle it. So making mistakes is perfectly okay. Trying something new and not enjoying it is perfectly okay. Just don't get caught up in the I don't want to try or I'm not going to try because I'm afraid. That's not going to do you or anyone else any good. So I think my time here is almost at an end. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching me build and grow right in front of you. There will be more trees that get built in, one in the lower left and then some that come in from the left side. But by and large, I'll continue to add branches and such to fill up the negative space here. But we're cruising along. We've tried something new. We've done it for ourselves or myself. And I've learned in the process. And folks, that's kind of what it's all about, is the process. I'm going to shut off my timer before it yells. Yeah, I'm a little short on time today, but these things happen. So, wet the old whistle. Doing things the way you've always done them is not a great way to get better. Obviously, I'm reasonably talented with a paintbrush, but that does not mean that I have peaked. That does not mean I am perfect or that I cannot get better. And one of the ways to get better is to try new things. And that's what this is all about. That's kind of what life is all about, if you want to get right down to it. Try those new things. Learn about yourself. Learn new skills. Apply that thing you learned to the rest of your life. You may discover you have a great deal more patience than you thought you did, or that you have a skill just lying under the surface that you didn't know was there. There's so much to be gained from trying new things and doing things for yourself. Understanding that it's great to do things for other people, but you have to be yourself, but you also have to do things that benefit you from time to time. It's great for the mental mindset. It's great for learning, growth, and knowledge, but it's also great because it's going to help put you at peace at the end of the day. So that's the chat for the week, man. Gonna go back to painting some more trees here. Going to do the traditional pipe and scotch, and going to enjoy the rest of my weekend and the learning experience that this has been. You can always follow me on Instagram, where I post some more pictures of the paintings and such that I do. Follow Bearded Bristol. But until next time, go out there, try something new, create something. We'll talk to you again soon.